What's up, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of the Viewhouse Sports Blitz. I'm Jessica Mendoza, joined once again by Luke Zahlmann from the Colorado Springs Gazette. Luke, we are always excited to have you on to talk about some Air Force men's basketball.
Yeah, and exciting times for Air Force basketball. You know, outside of everyone getting a little tired, all the coaches getting tired at this point, still an exciting time for Air Force basketball.
I don't know if you would agree with me, but it kind of feels like they've been riding a roller coaster a little bit lately. They've played some of the big dogs like Boise State, New Mexico, San Diego State, and they've hung in with these guys. How frustrating has it been that ultimately they weren't able to come out with the win in these ones?
So probably if you were to ask Joe Scott what the most frustrating part is none of those three games. His biggest frustration, and the thing he's still voicing even now, is the loss to San Jose State. The 30-point loss where they didn't take practice seriously, they didn't take the game seriously, and it was kind of this first look at like, okay, if you guys don't take even one day seriously, this is what's going to happen to you. And that was against a team that's towards the bottom of the Mountain West. That wasn't some, you know, really inspiring team. They shouldn't have lost by 30. So he always touches on that. I think that's what he's frustrated about. The close losses, he's almost telling himself, I just need to be a little more patient. You know, it's not all going to happen at once. The fact that we're in these games is a big deal as it is. And now we just have to make sure San Jose State never happens again, more so than, hey, you know, we have some close losses.
Well, getting those wins against such big teams, I mean, of course it's disappointing to lose to the Spartans, but to be able to get a win against a ranked opponent like New Mexico was, that would be huge for this program and huge for these guys' confidence. What could they have done to actually pull that off? What would put them over the hump?
So, and what was so difficult for them that game is Nick Jackson really hasn't played that much as a senior. He's been, you know, spotty minutes. He actually played really well that game, but he was only in because Corbin was out with an illness. The whole entire day he had been dealing with a stomach bug, so he didn't play that game. Well, both of their centers fouled out. And so if they would have had Corbin, that probably would have been pretty nice, if for no other reason than to have 5 extra fouls to use. And so I don't know. I don't know what would have happened if Corbin was in. Carter Murphy was also out with an ankle. I mean, if they were both healthy, I'm not sure what happens, because they pushed New Mexico about as close to a win for Air Force as they could.
Luke, you mentioned health and injury. What about Jake Heidbreeder? I remember preseason you talked about this could be a guy that could really get this team in a position to win, but he hasn't been practicing with a groin injury. How has that affected the Falcons?
No, and I think at this point it's just something that's kind of normal for them. He hasn't really practiced much during the year, and that's not to say that he's sitting on the side watching while eating Skittles. He's doing things. He's trying to rehab. He's getting the groin going, but I do think it's tough every now and then with the chemistry, just building that chemistry, because they're just not on the floor in between games. Those games are really the only time they're building that.
All right, well, no matter what, Luke, it's an exciting time for the Falcons. A lot of big games coming up, so we always appreciate you coming out and talking about the Falcons with us.
You bet. It's always a blast.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time for the Viewhouse Sports Blitz.